Hello, everyone. Um, I have a little bit of a new setup. I'm in a new spot, so I'm not 100% sure if the audio is working correctly. So, as always, please let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me, if everything is good. Damn, it's kind of cold. Yeah, let me know if everything's good and you can hear me. Um, and let me prep some of my stuff here. Oh, I see a bunch of people are coming in. Mm. Mm. Oh wow. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. All right. We can hear. So far, so good on the audio visual. So far, so good. Oh crap! Almost forgot. Yes. Do not forget. Guten Abend. Yes. Cześć and howdy and hello and nice. Okay, cool. I see more and more people are coming in. First off, I guess I'm in a new spot. I think for the next couple of streams, you're gonna see me in maybe different locations. I'm moving around right now. There's construction. Maybe I'm gonna have to move somewhere else. It's a big mess. But despite all of this, I will keep trying to do these streams regularly every month. But maybe the background will be different. Um, and did you get the slide names double checked? I think I did. I think I double checked the slides, but I actually, now that you mentioned it, I think there's a slide that I could have maybe named a little better, but it is, it is. Let me just take a sip of water. Okay. Yeah. What is there to say before we start? We are now well into 2024. Time flies. It's been 2 months already. Gonna be honest, I'm a little bit tired. These last few months have been um, eventful. There's a lot of stuff happening at OPR in the studio. So in the background, things you guys are not seeing, as well as things you are seeing. Oh, I just realized. Oh, I forgot a slide. Damn. Well, I guess I'll mention it here. So next stream is only gonna be at the end of March, but I completely forgot to say that. Hey, like actually, I'm going to be at Adepticon with a couple of peeps from my crew, and we don't have a stand at Adepticon. Let me see. So it's from March 20th to March 24th. We don't have a standard Adepticon, but I'll be around, so maybe we'll stumble into each other. Not sure if we can organize something either on premise or maybe um, outside. I'm not really sure. Would be kind of cool to do like a small meetup event or something like this. I know that we're actually just there for a few days, so um, yeah, there's not a ton of time. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna be honest. Like taking an intercontinental flight just to be somewhere for like 4 days feels a bit weird, but I suppose that's how it is when you're running a business. But yeah, I'm not used to that. Um, so yeah, I think there is no slide about that, so I forgot about it. Sorry, but yes, if you're coming to Adepticon, watch out for me and my pretty face, and look for people that have a little OPR logo, and feel free to say hi. Like I said, if we organize something, we'll let you know. This is literally just off the top of my head right now, so I'm not really sure that we will be able to organize something, but such is life. Okay, I see now we have a bunch of people coming. So, all right, I think we can slowly start. Um, Wait, let me think. Is there anything else that you need to know? Um, mm, I guess not. There's a lot of things coming this year. We are working very hard. There's a lot of things coming this year. You're gonna see. So yeah, if you see me being tired and whatnot, it's for a good cause. All right, let's hop into the first thing immediately, which is I wanted to try something new. So we do these streams every month. I know a ton of people come. I mean, we get a sizable audience, but I mean, compared to the size of the total OPR audience, I understand that it's just a small fraction. I understand that it's not easy to always show up for these meetings. Well, for these streams, and people that are overseas and different time zones, they make an effort. So I thought, hey, what about doing something cute and doing a little giveaway? So I'm going to post a link now to a form. Let me see. I should be able to pin this on YouTube. Just one second. So you should be able to hear. Oh, what is happening now? Let me pin this now, and I cannot pin it. Okay. So give me 1 second. Anyway, so there's a link that I just posted now. And if you yes, got it. Pin message. Bam. Should be pinned. Cool. If you follow that link, you can put in your My Mini Factory email address. And basically, for everybody that's part of the stream, at the end of the stream, we will give away 2 minis. These will be the so-called event minis. So for those that don't know, about every 6 months now, we cycle and make like two special cool like event minis. And those are given away in different ways. You can win them in the painting contest. It's the type of stuff that usually we will give away in like a convention, or a little. It's a cute little you know thing that we do every now and then. So yeah, I thought why not give away some minis on the stream. So if you're here, thank you guys for showing up every month. It's I know that I don't get to interact with the chat a ton, at least not during the stream. Usually at the end of the stream, I get to interact a bunch. But yeah, I just really appreciate that everybody's here. I really appreciate that you actually come here and hang out and listen to me rant and rave and go crazy and wave my hands and yeah. So anyway, thank you for coming. So here you can grab some minis. I'm not sure if this is something we're gonna do every month. Maybe it could become like a little bonus for everyone that joins. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see how we feel. All right. Let's get down to business. So, first slide. Oh yeah, Secrets of Tixal. All right. So actually, let me correct myself. Technically, it's Secrets of Tixal because that's how you say it in the Saurian language. So it's the final day of Secrets of Tixal, and actually, it's the final hours of Secrets of Tixal. So there's only about 3 hours left. So for those that don't know, Secrets of Tixal is a brand new narrative campaign for Age of Fantasy. We haven't done narrative campaigns in a while. We're really happy to be back and doing narrative campaigns now. So what's a narrative campaign? Basically, it's a little booklet that contains a short story. I mean, short story. It contains a story. It's about 30 pages. So it contains a story and it contains 10 missions. And basically, as you it's kind of like an action movie. Like you read a bit of the story, you play a mission, you read a story, you play a mission. It's designed in such a way that the story is split into 5 different chapters, and each chapter has about 2 missions. So it's designed in such a way that you can play it in like 5 sessions if you're with a friend. So you get together in the evening, once a week maybe or whatever, or during the weekend, or whatever you want, and then you get to play like a couple missions. You read the story together. You have some fun. And yeah, it's really cool. And so we had done some narrative campaigns in the past, but it was a much smaller scope, and now it's much bigger. So the campaign now comes with 4 miniatures. So it comes with Teki and Hakatlo, 2 Saurian heroes, and it comes with Ignatio and Lucrezia, who are the 2 Duchess of Vinci heroes. So you get cool models, you get cool missions, you get the story. And if you support the campaign, you can also get the full armies. So you can get smaller packs where you get like a bunch of minis for you to start with, and then you can also support to get like all of the fucking minis that we've ever made. So I think it's 200 plus minis for the Saurians and the Duchess of Vinci. You also get Saurian terrain, you get their bases, you get the game aids for both Saurians and Duchess of Vinci. You can also get all of the Titans. You also can get some physical rewards, so you can get some brushes, you can get some paints. Really, really a ton of stuff. The price point is incredible. Everything is like basically a super discount. So if you ever thought about like, hey, like I like the Saurians but I'm not sure, or like I like the Duchies but I'm not sure, maybe you like both, now is the time to go and back this campaign and get a bunch of minis for an extremely low price, with a cool story, with the cool heroes, with all of the art, with the brushes from Chronicle, with the paints from Tooth and Coats, like all of this stuff together, the Titans, all the madness. And yeah, and actually, like, so something that people asked us is, or one of the questions that we often get from people about is like, oh, like, I was a Patreon supporter, I already have the armies, like, is this campaign for me? Yes, of course. You can also just get the campaign with the heroes. You don't need to pledge and get minis that you already have. So you can only buy the new stuff. I think it's just $10. So like, even if you're just curious and you're like, like, let me support OPR, you can just throw $10 at us and get purely the campaign with the minis. For now, it's digital only. We're not sure if maybe we'll be able to do these type of campaigns physically in the future. So like maybe the physical booklet, physical heroes, who knows? Maybe even physical armies, like a starter set would be amazing. But that's still to be seen. For now, it's all digital. And yeah, yeah, it's very exciting. It's been super successful. It's crazy. Like we have over 1,500 backers now, which is absolutely incredible. Like I had no idea that so many people would be excited about the campaign and the armies and OPR stuff. I feel like uh I am always just very cautiously pessimistic, I suppose. And maybe also like I just undervalue maybe what we do. It's sort of like an imposter syndrome situation where it's like, our minis, like, yes, sure, people love them, but like, are they good enough? And like, is our art good enough? And is our lore good enough? And like, always doubting. But seeing everyone seeing everyone come together and support the campaign, it's really amazing. And also, this campaign is it's an effort to basically provide you with new ways to support OPR outside of the regular Patreon. So this is something that people have been asking us for a long time as well. As like they say, hey, I love OPR. I want to support you. I'm a patron. I have all your minis. Like, how can I support you more? And like, we appreciate that some people want to just like straight up like donate money to us, but like that feels weird. We want to give something back. And so this campaign is the type of thing that is like, hey, like, okay, you're a Patreon supporter. If you want to throw a couple more bucks at us, like, go here, grab this campaign, enjoy it, have fun, read the stories, and fall in love with the characters, and yeah, and see where it goes, because um, this is just the first step. There is a lot more lore coming. There's a lot more narrative coming, and there's a lot of connectedness that's going to happen between everything. So, you know, if you start with the Tsha, and then maybe you'll get into the next thing that we do for fantasy. Maybe you'll see some nods and hints, and maybe it will all click together. You'll see. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be very cool. So yeah, if you or somebody might be interested in Secrets of the Shah, send them the campaign. Make sure to support now. Uh, I know that we offer ridiculous deals on sometimes we do like these 70% discounts, and we have the 50% discount on Patreon, but this is an even bigger discount. Actually, if you're a patron, you get a discount on top of the inbuilt discount in the campaign. Incredible value. Yeah, go grab it. Like, it's I when we were building the campaign and I was scrolling through it, I was amazed at like how good of a deal like we're offering here. Like there's always this. I feel like I always have this wish to do more and like give more and make sure we provide value. And then I was scrolling through a campaign and I was like, wow, like okay, yeah, maybe we're doing enough. Like over 200 minis for like $100. Two full armies with the terrains and then the mission packs and then the heroes and the bases and yeah, a good deal. Cool. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Go ahead and back us, and you can look forward to more stuff like this. Yeah, if you like Tixal, you're gonna love what's coming in the future. I see somebody asked, "Will these minis be available on only games?" I am pretty sure yes. I think the heroes are going to be on only games. Um, yeah, I don't see why not. I'm trying to think if there was a reason why we were not putting them on there for now, but I think eventually they will be. Like anyway, pretty much everything we do ends up being on only games. So yeah, you'll be able to get them physically through only games and maybe other means in the future. We will see. All right. So that was Secrets of Tishal. Let's go to the next slide. What do we got? Oh yeah, new short story release. So I don't want to go too deep into these because they're happening every month. So I'm gonna try and keep it more light. But yes, so starting in January, we started releasing short stories, and every month I'll just highlight them a little bit. So starting in so now since January, you get the sorry, I was seeing the chat and I'm getting distracted. All right. Starting in January, we now get two new short stories every month on Patreon. The short stories also come with a special mission. So slowly over time, these short stories are essentially replacing the mission packs that we have on Patreon. I mean, yes and no. Like, don't worry, mission packs mission packs as a concept are here to stay. They're not going away, but in a way, let's say they're going to go away to come back much stronger. You're going to be in love with what's going to happen with mission packs. But basically, so what's the deal with the short story? So we were doing all of these missions that we released every month on Patreon that kind of just had no context. It was like, hey, here's a mission, have fun. And we felt that it was kind of like lacking something. And so what you're gonna get now is you get a short story. The short story comes with a mission, and so it's a really cool like. It's very cool to have the two things come together, right? Like you get the beautiful piece of art, you get to read the story, and then you get to play the mission that ties in with the whole thing, and basically gives things context. And I feel like in a lot of ways, everything that's happening now with OPR and as we go forward is essentially just give context to the games you play, right? So we know that for us as OPR, I mean, especially for me who created these worlds and the universe and all of the lore, like I know all the lore, I know these worlds, I know these lands, I know these creatures, I know the factions, I know the heroes, I know everything. And so for me, yeah, there's always a context when I'm playing OPR games. But for other people, there might not be, right? It's just okay. Here's a mission. Here's two armies. I know nothing about them. What's this all about? And so the short stories help basically, fill that gap. Whatever, provide that context. So how does it work? Every month on Patreon, you get two new short stories with missions. We're going to accumulate a couple of short stories on Patreon. So eventually, I think you're going to be able to get like, I don't know, 6, 8, maybe 10, I'm not sure, short stories when you're on Patreon. And then every month, the previous month's short stories are released on our website for free without the missions, though. So if you're just into the lore or if you're curious, you can go there and read the lore. And then if you're interested and you say, hey, I really like this story, I want to get the mission to it, support on Patreon and you get the mission. And it's basically like a try before you buy sort of situation. And then the plan is that eventually, once you have enough short stories with missions like all together, we will make like a sort of compilation, and then you'll be able to buy it. So if you miss a couple of short stories with the missions, you'll be able to get it as a compilation in the future. Um, All right, yeah. So there's two new short stories this month. We have an Eternal Dynasty short story, Last to Leave for Grimdark Future, and we have a new short story for the Beastmen in Age of Fantasy called Torn from Home. I know we just did two Beastmen short stories back to back. That was a little bit of a mistake on our part. To be honest, we're not trying to have short stories come out back to back for the same factions, but it happened. So enjoy a bit more of the Beastman lore, and yeah, and enjoy the missions, and yeah, have fun with them. And let me know your feedback. Like I know that OPR releases a ton of content, and it's tough. Like it's tough for me now to be able to really always gauge exactly how people are feeling. So if you're on the Patreon chat on Discord, or if you are on Patreon, or if you're on Reddit or whatever, or on Instagram, like and you read the stories, you play the missions, you have some feedback, like send us some feedback, put a comment in there, write a review, whatever. Like I'm eager to find out more about how people feel about the story, what they think, so that we can continue to like improve them and make sure that we give you the best content possible. All right, cool. Moving on to the next slide for the studio updates. So, ooh, all right, here we go. So, I this caught me by surprise. So, the Grimdark Future World Book is finally coming out soon. I don't have a date yet. It is my hope that it's going to come out in March, sometime in March. But again, I'm not exactly sure. It depends on a couple of things. So, right now the book is being finalized. I'm gonna say we are about 99% done. I think we're only missing like one illustration that's being finalized. And then we're still messing a little bit with the layout and the graphics. But yeah, like the Grimdark Future World book is coming out. It's going to be amazing. The book is 65 plus pages long. Oh yeah, and sorry, I was saying like what's still missing to do. So we basically okay. The reason I'm not exactly sure when it's coming out is because we're finalizing the book, and then ideally what we want is we want to prep the book for physical print and provide it in some form as a physical print. I think ideally we'll probably do it via something like a print on demand, like Drive Through RPG. Maybe we'll be providing it in some other way. Maybe we'll do a tiny like crowdfunding. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yes, Grimdark Future World book. This project has been going on for a while. It keeps growing. It kept growing. I guess now it's finally reached its full potential. But it started from like a small booklet of a couple of pages to something bigger and bigger and bigger. Now it's a 65 plus page book, filled with lore, filled with short stories, filled with everything you want to know, everything you need to know about the world of Grimdark Future, and a lot of surprises in there because I think when you play Grimdark Future right now, and maybe you read the army's lore snippets on Army Forged, you're just so focused on exactly those factions, and maybe you understand a little bit about the Sirius sector, but you're not really you're not really in there. And so the Grimdark Future World book will really like open your eyes to the whole world of Grimdark Future. So not just the Sirius sector and the conflicts that brought humanity to the Sirius sector, but also like how the Sirius sector is just a tiny sector inside the outer sphere, and basically the galaxy in which Grimdark Future takes place is essentially split, let's say, or like divided into three sections. We have the inner sphere, the outer sphere, and the frontier. And then there's a lot of information in the book about like how do these things work, how do they interact with each other, what are these places, who are these people, how is galactic society, how do things work, how do different species communicate, how do psychics work, is there a currency, like how do they travel, like what's a jump gate, how does a jump lane work, all of these crazy thing like, oh, how was the Sirius sector before the arrival of humanity? Like all of these things are going to be answered, and more are going to be answered in the Grimdark Future World book. Like I said, the book has grown a lot. So originally, our plan, when it was still a tiny, like 10-page book, was that it was going to be released fully for free. But now it has grown so much. It has so much art. It has so much lore that we decided to actually publish this as a paid thing. Worry not, though. We will release part of the book for free. I think maybe the first 5 to 10 pages will still be completely free. So you can go in there, you can find out about like the basics of the universe and read up on it as you please. And then if you're like, hey, this is cool, I want to know more, then you can buy either the PDF, or if we are able to do the physical version, also the physical version. Yeah, I am very, very excited about it. Oh, by the way, here's another picture. So this is part of the cover. And yes, I am very, very excited about it. I have been working on this with my team for well over 2 years. I mean, in my head, I've been working on this for 10 years, even more, because even before OPR started, I had always had this dream of um, both the Age of Fantasy world and the Grimdark Future world. At the time, they didn't have a name, but I always had these dreams of like this place and the events that took place, and how does humanity get there, and all that stuff. So it's like this is a dream come true, and I think it's going to be awesome. And one of the things that I really like about this is that this is going to be, at least for now, like the entry point into the Grimdark Future lore. So like, if you meet someone and they're like, hey, like oh, you're playing in the future. What's the lore about? What's the story about? You can be like, hey, here's the book. Go read the first 10 pages for free. Fall in love with it. Get more. Start playing. See the art. See the lore. See the whole thing come together. And be amazed by the depth of this world. Because I think one of the big, I mean, I don't want to say problems. In a small way of frustration of mine, is that I feel like people look at Grimdark Future and Age of Fantasy and they think like it's just this very shallow setting, like it's a bare bones. We're doing the minimal possible just to have a setting for the army force snippets, and they don't understand that like, no, actually this is super deep, because I've been dreaming about it for so long. Over 10 years, maybe 20 years by now. And yeah, anyway, I am excited. I see a couple of questions here. Somebody asked, is it only going to be physical? No, it's going to be digital and hopefully also physical. Somebody also asked, will it be more of a lore book or an art book? It is a lore book. I guess it's a lore book first, with art. So like every single page has art on it. Some pages have like a big, quarter page, or like quarter page art, or maybe some pages even have more art. Some are full pages of art, but it's lore. Like it actually, originally when we first started the thought of this, it was much more of an art book. At the time, the idea was that it was basically gonna be like 90% art with just small lore explanations. And by now, it's basically completely flipped, where it's like it's mostly lore with a ton of art, but the focus is the lore. Is there a connection between the two settings? I have no idea if that was ever said. Um, I don't know. We had this idea. I don't want to get too into it, but we had this idea for some of our like spin-off games, like Death Ball and stuff like that, to have a sort of like a third shared universe, like a sort of like Bizarro. Like imagine like, oh, everybody got turned, ended up in some sort of like warp, and whoop, now they're spit up in a Bizarro world where now they play Death Ball, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's kind of a place where they would be like in a share, um a shared thing. Again, I don't want to say, I don't want to say too much, and I think you should, um yeah, just read it, have fun. Okay, cool. So that was the world book. I'm sure if you have questions, you can ask me at the end of the stream when there's a Q&A. But yes, I'm extremely excited. All right, what else do we got? Oh, yeah, I thought I would throw in a little. Let's talk a little bit about games now. So I want to throw in a little bit about the V3.2.0 progress. So last month we launched whatever. We updated the game to 3.2. And with that, we had Balval coming as like an integral part of it. So yeah, basically over the last month and a half, I've still been tweaking as we kept updating Balval, like because the system basically was showing us that everything is checked, everything is fine, and then we realized like we screw up the formula a little bit, and then it gave us a new, it gave us some new warnings, like, hey, this unit is not valid, this unit is not valid. So basically, over the last month, you might have noticed that a couple of units have still been tweaked again. But overall, by now 3.2 is, I'm gonna say, pretty stable. I don't expect any major changes to 3.2 in the next couple months. Although in 2 months, we're gonna have a new update and we're gonna go to 3.3. So yeah, the only updates I would expect before 3.3 is maybe like I think there might be some models that are being released before 3.3 that will slightly change their rules based on the models. Nothing big, but small tweaks here and there. But overall, the progress is pretty stable. I'm actually very glad to see how the conversation has kind of like shifted. I feel like the first days, as always, when a patch drops out, people are like, "Oh my god, like Balval, it's ruined the game, everything's terrible." And then now it kind of quieted down. People are like, "Oh, okay, like they're actually playing it, they're actually enjoying it." Of course, I know that some people are a little bit sad that like some of their favorite units are now a bit weaker. But overall, it seems that the change was really positive, which I'm happy about. For the next update, just to kind of let you know what I'm thinking. Again, I'm going to be tweaking a lot of small things. I assume mostly like let me pull out if I have some patch notes here that I took down. Tweaking a lot of smaller things in the rules, like how are certain things written. Yeah, it really is minor stuff. Um, Fixing some text and whatever. I'm actually hoping that I mean, for those that have or have not noticed, as part of the Secrets of Tixal release, we actually have been so Secrets of Tixal is following a new style like layout format. So it has a new format for the cover. It has a new logo. It has a new interior background and new fonts and all that stuff. And my plan is that over the coming months, we're going to be updating all of the rule books to be graphically more advanced, let's say. Basically, it's like the rule books today still look like it's, the tiny project that I started 10 years ago where it was just me. So they're just like blank pages with a little line around them. And instead, like, we want to make them fully graphically like beautiful. We are now a fully fledged company, and I don't see any reason why, if everybody gets to have really cool looking rule books out there, I don't see why we shouldn't. So we've been working on that, and so yeah, maybe that's might be one of the biggest changes. Something I'm also looking into is there is still, I feel like, a lot of confusion about the interaction of rules like furious, relentless, and stuff like that. Like all of those like multiply hits rules. And I think um, I would like to sort of like modify those, tweak those to to be done once and for all. So I think honestly the biggest change you might see is a change to how furious and relentless and all those rules work. But otherwise, it'll be fine. Anyway, all right, that's 3.2 progress. And like I said, there was a lot about Balval, and so we actually have been doing some small updates to Army Forge lately, like literally over the past days, literally even today. And I wanted to present them real quick here for everyone. So, all right, what's the updates? We have updated two things. So, We got a lot of feedback about Balval and how basically having that little tag that says balance, not balance, changes people's perception of books. And so to be fairer and to be, we talked a lot to other creators about it, and to be fairer and to make everything clearer, we have decided to slightly, I don't know, add to this system. So now we have, so when you check out a book in Army Forge, like a creator book or a custom book or whatever, you will see two things. Instead of just seeing balanced, not balanced, which for a moment, for a short moment, was changed to verified, not verified. We removed that lingo. It will now show you two things. It will show you if the book is balanced or not balanced, which means the units in the book are balanced. So they're following Balval standards. So, a tough one unit cannot have 20 attacks on it and that type of stuff. But it will also show you if the book uses custom rules, because there are a lot of people that said, like, hey, like, my book is completely balanced, it's 100% following Balval, but I want to have this custom rule that is really cool, and I don't want my whole book to be flagged as not balanced just because I have this cool new rule. And we get it, so we have added that. So now when you are on the left side of Army Forge custom books thing, whatever, you will be able to see if the books will have a tag which will balance or not balance. And if a book uses custom rules, it will have a little tag that says custom rules. You also have a filter. So now you can say, hey, I want to see only balanced books and I want to see books that only have official rules. Then you can do that. So if you don't want to have to worry about those things, you can disable those. Additionally, like on the right side, you can see where the book name is. There's like two little um, chips on there. I don't know how to call them, like two little tags. There is the balance, not balance, and custom rules tag. So if you hover over those, it will actually explain like what does each one of these mean. I mean, I'm explaining it to you right now, but like, for those that might just be scrolling through it and not sure what's happening, they can just check it there. And not only that, to make it even clearer, we have now added the individual chips on the units. So when you open a book, imagine like you have a book and it has 20 units, but only one of those units is not balanced, or only one of those units is using custom rules. It will show you exactly which one it is. And so hopefully with this system, players are much more informed and they will know exactly what they're getting into, right? So you might find a rule book that you think is really cool, but you don't like to play with custom rules. So you can be like, hey, I'm going to use every unit in this book that does not have custom rules. And so yeah, more player choice, more clarity. I think this is a step forward. We're going to continue improving our system as much as we can. As more creators join our program, as more people start making more books, we want to keep updating Army Forge and make sure that it's a great experience for everyone. I on behalf of our dev team, mainly Adam and Moritz, who have been working ceaselessly on this thing, I want to say thank you everyone for the compliments. Like, we keep hearing people say that, like, hey, Army Forge is incredible, Army Forge is the best army building tool out there, like, I can't believe other games don't have something like Army Forge. So thank you very much for the compliment. I'm sure Adam and Moritz are blushing right now, but yeah, I agree. It's something amazing, and I cannot imagine at this stage. I cannot imagine. I mean, I feel like I've said it many times. I cannot imagine OPR without it. And we're going to continue improving this, and we're going to continue improving our website, and we're going to continue improving everything, our models, rules. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think this is about it, maybe for studio updates. Yes, so this is about it for the studio update portion of the stream. Oh my god, we're already 40 minutes into this, so I'm gonna try and be faster. So now let's go into the previews for the next month. Let me just take a sip of water first. All right. Cool. So, first up, Vampiric Undead for the month of March. So, what do we have here? All right, starting here at the bottom, you can see the Drained Archers. It's been a while since we released a Drained unit. There's not a ton of Drained units in the army, truly. But yeah, well, at the beginning of the release, of the Vampiric Undead, we released the Drained Soldiers, and that's your basically like your basic melee infantry. And here we have the Drained Archers, which is your basic ranged infantry. They come with everything you expect. So they have 5 different poses. It's cool. I really like how like we're fusing in the something that we're constantly trying to improve at OPR is like um how can we show personality in the models beyond just like how can we show difference between different units beyond just clothing and armor and weapons, but how can we start showing personality? And so here I feel like we really nailed it, where like we wanted to show that the drained are essentially drained of life, and so they're tired and they're miserable. And so I in the posing you can really see like all of these archers are kind of like awkward. They're not really firm on their feet. They're still able to launch a volley of arrows, so be careful. But yes, they look really cool. They have the classic little like collar thing and straw, so that the vampire lords can go in like suck a little suck a little blood out of them. And yeah, it comes with 5 different poses. It comes with the command group. The command group actually has 2 buddies, one on the banner and one on the sergeant. And yeah, so that's your cool infantry unit for the month of March. Then you're also going to get a bunch of new stuff. So you're going to get the Vampire Knights. So the Vampire Knights, you can see them pretty much spread all around here. The Vampire Knights is essentially, vampires that are not lords, but they're vampires. So you will recognize their clothing being similar to the ones of the Vampire Lord and Lady, but of course, not the same. They don't have the big capes. And yeah, we really want to show the diversity here. So we have male, female ones. They come with swords. They come with spears or lances, and they come, of course, with the command group. So banner, musician, and sergeant. And you can see them spread all around. I think this is 6 poses in total. I think they came out really, really cool. And this is only one of the mounted units in the army. There's actually another one coming later, and I'm actually really happy to see how they turned out. I wasn't sure, when we designed them, if they were going to be cool, and I think they came out really cool. And then right above them, you can actually see the two. One of the 2 heroes, or well, one of the new hero units for March, which is the Lord, Vampire Lord, and Lady, or whatever, the Vampire Lord and Lady on Winged Steed. So the Winged Steed is basically a weird mix. It's again trying to infuse this vibe of the experimental, the macabre in the army. So the Winged Steed is like a horse whose head. So it's like a regular horse, but it has like a skeletal horse's head, but half of the head is cut off and is replaced by a fully metallic head. And then like all these bat wings have been like stitched onto it, and it's just this weird monstrosity. Honestly, I think it's one of the coolest models we've ever made. I don't know. I really love it. I love the pose. I love the way it's just about to like lift off and the wings are open. It has all this cool detail and the head looks really, really cool. Um, yeah, really, really lovely model. And then and this is not all, because you're gonna get more. And then what else you get? So on the top right, we can see the Deathly Chariot. I think this is the funeral coach. Sorry, the funeral coach is the coach slash chariot slash wagon, whatever, of the Vampire Lord. So as we announced a couple months back, almost every single hero gets a sort of like wagon or whatever variant. So far, we got the Maiden Chariot for the Vampire Lady. We got the Corpse Wagon for the Corpse Master, and now we're getting the Corpse Wagon. Corpse Wagon? Yes. No. The funeral coach for the Vampire Lord. So what do you get? You get, of course, the whole coach with the drained, and on top of the coach, you have like a little altar with the Vampire Lord. The Vampire Lord is clothed differently than the one on foot. So the one on foot is in heavy armor. This one is not. So and the model is made in such a way that you can place it, you can remove it and place it on a base. So if you want to use this guy as the leader of your army, if you don't like the big armored version of the Vampire Lord on foot, you can use this one instead, and have essentially a new hero. And then also in the back, I mean, you can kind of see it here. There's like a nicely sculpted casket that the Vampire Lord basically like came out of and then went on top and then does his thing. Very cool model. I'm really happy with how all of the horse drawn stuff came out, and the horses, and yeah, it's really cool. And then last but not least, on the top left, we can see the Vampire Lord on Winged Terror. This, you can see the male version here, but you get, of course, a male and a female version. Pretty sure you get two weapon options. I think you get the great sword and you get the spear. Yeah, and then of course you get the actual monster. Really cool monster. I love the way he looks sort of, I don't know, slimy and evil, but it's like a mini dragon, but not epic enough to be a dragon. And he has these wings, but they're stitched together. Like there's double tail. There's something about its design that I really, really love. And so yeah, if you want your lord to fly, you can either place it on a winged steed, or you can put it on a winged terror, depending on how fighty you want it to be. All right, cool. So that is the Vampiric Undead for March. Let's go and take a look at the High Elf fleets. All right, so in March, it's the first month we're finally releasing the High Elf fleets. Honestly, you're getting so many models and so many variations in March that we were not able to fit them all in this pick. So I'm going to show and explain what I can see here. All right, so High Elf fleet. So the majority of the thing that you're seeing here in the center is the protectors. The protectors come with, you basically get male heads, female heads, you get helmeted heads, and you get the 5 basic combat poses. So they have the shard guns, and you have the various poses with the shard guns with all 3 different heads. So that's already like 15 models right there. On top of that, you also get the support platform. The support platform here, we're only showing you 2. I think there are 5 different variations of the support platform with all different weapons. And the support platform also comes with an apprentice. An apprentice comes in male, female, and helmeted version. Quick explanation about the apprentice. So in the High Elf fleets, basically, okay, for those that don't know, the Robot Legion, a long time ago, the High Elf fleets created the Robot Legions. Created robots to basically, take care of all the menial labor and become richer and richer, and do their high elf biz. Eventually, when the resonance cascade happened, the robots, there was this event called the Spark. The robots basically kind of gained consciousness and fought back and basically kind of like killed the elves, and the elves had to run off and go into space. And now the elves don't have land anymore. They're kind of just roaming through through space. And so because they essentially were they had this I don't want to say betrayal. It's not that they were betrayed by the robots, but whatever. They're not really trusting of robots anymore. So they have basically replaced all of their robotic stuff with psychic stuff. So the way that it works now is that their vehicles are not they're not robots. So these turrets are not automated support turrets. They're actually channeled through psychic force, and so they need to have an apprentice. So okay, if the highest level of the psychics in the High Elf fleets is the Oracle, so the High Oracle is the highest level of a psychic elf. The lowest level is the apprentice. So apprentices are those that are still learning about psychic powers. They're still learning how to deal with them and create stuff and animate things and so on and so forth. And so they are basically relegated to being artillery crew. So you are also going to get these guys. What does this mean? That means you're going to get 15 plus 3 plus another 5 models. So you're getting like 23 models just in the protectors. This is just one kit, and you're getting all of these models. And I think that's pretty cool. All right. So beside all those guys, in the front, you can see center, slightly off center to the left and right, you can see the commander. So the high elf commander, um, he's one of the heroes from the high elf fleets. He comes with a super cool like axe. Like he has like a great axe. The elves have basically like the killing axe, which is one of their weapons, and he gets a special version, the great killing axe. And he's like pointing, and actually you can see that there's a buddy. So the buddy for the high elves is this sort of like psychic squirrel. Well, it's a squirrel, truly. A cute squirrel. And so there's like a little buddy squirrel on top of his arm going ah. And it comes, of course, with the helmet. He has like this cool, like warrior-like helmet with like the plumes. And then you also get the male version, the version with the male head and the female head. The buddy is optional. If you don't like the buddy, you don't have to put it there. But yes, you're gonna start seeing buddies pop up everywhere, as usual. So this is gonna be cool. All right. Then what else you get? Unfortunately, all this stuff is still work in progress. We did not have the renders ready yet to put them on here, but you're also going to get a unit of snipers. The snipers come with 5 different poses. They come with sniper rifles, of course. You get them with they come either like with like little hoods and masks, or they come with without the hood and then male heads and female heads. And then there's also one of them that has a buddy, so another cute one. And then also you can kind of see that there's a different silhouette here. Again, bottom, middle, and left. Sorry, bottom, left, and right. You can see the what is this guy called? I think it's called the Elite Protector. Basically, he's like your less noble, your more fighty, less noble standard hero. And this will be like your really again like your standard hero that you find on an OPR miniatures line. So it's the one hero that comes with all the options. So it's gonna have like the pistol and the shard gun, and has like I think it has like a sword, an energy sword, a killing axe, an energy spear. There's another type of sword that they have, which I don't remember what the name is. It's like a really huge sword. Whatever. Comes with all the weapon options that you want, and it's cool. And then finally, you're also going to get the first vehicles, which is the APC. So, unfortunately, here we're only seeing it from the side. It would be cool to show it from the top. So the symbol of the high elf fleets is this sort of like, I mean, I don't know if you can make it out here, but it's this sort of like I don't know what to call this, like a crystal type of vibe thing. Diamond shape. It's not exactly a diamond shape because it's pulled at the bottom. Whatever. And so actually, the ships, if you look at them from the top, are following the symbol of the faction. And anyway, the APC comes with lots of different options. You can replace the front to have either a fully covered, little like cockpit, or you can have the cockpit exposed so you can see the driver. It comes with mounted shotguns in the front. You can remove those as well if you don't want. And then you can also put weapons at the top. You can remove those as well. But it comes with lots of different weapons. I think again, like 5 different options between like, missile launchers and laser cannons, like shard cannons or whatever they're called. So you can pack them up with a lot of weapons. And what's really cool is if you look at the very center of the vehicle, there is this sort of like orb. And this is basically a psychic energy orb. That is a very, very central part of the high elf fleets. And actually, if we go back a little, if you look, you cannot see it from this angle, but well, anyway, at the bottom of the turret, there's actually also a psychic orb. And anyway, you're gonna see the psychic orbs pop up all throughout the faction, because basically, like this is like their elemental psychic thing that they do, and without being too obvious, for those that pay attention to OPR things, I'm gonna say take a close look at the orb, and it might give you a hint at their lore. Yeah, let's say that. Okay, so this is the high elf fleets for March. Let's move on to the next thing, which is the legendary. So the legendary preview for March is going to be it's going to be the epic soul demon of change. You can see here it comes with a really cool base with all of these like change demon patterns. all the crystals as well. And then let's move on and see a bit more of it. So, okay, this is the center body. Comes with a cool new gun. So if you have a soul demon, then you kind of know what to expect. But this is the epic version of it. So it comes with a cool base. It comes with new weapons. It comes with like a new style. Lots of different things. So it comes with like a new cool gun. It comes. It comes with a big axe, and then of course it has a super cool pose with like the screaming bird face, and then in the back it has like capes that are like floating and like these wings. It's very cool model. If you are looking for like a big, centerpiece for your army, then this is it. As always, one of the coolest things about the demons is that they're both usable in Grimdark and in Fantasy. So it's essentially a model that's good for everyone. Um, and yeah, very cool. I'm very happy with how all the epic demons are coming out. All right, what else do we got? Oh, terrain preview. Yeah, I noticed that like we started releasing new terrain over the last couple months, and we haven't really been showcasing it here, which I feel is a bit of a shame because I know that actually there's a lot of people that are excited about terrain, but because we have so many other releases with the models and the missions and the legendaries and the loyalty rewards and all the thousand things, we kind of run out of breath when talking about stuff, and we don't really mention the terrain. But I think it's important for us to actually like highlight that we do terrain. We do anyway. We do terrain, and that the terrain is cool. So if you are into terrain, well, here it is. So in March, you're going to get the forest area terrain. This is basically a bunch of different sections of essentially flat terrain that you can put to use as difficult terrain. You could use this even as dangerous terrain if you wanted to, and you can basically use it to make your table look cooler. Some of them are water features, some of them are muddy, some of them are like filled with like vines and stuff like that, and roots. And yeah, this is the perfect way to like introduce some additional terrain, difficult terrain, for example, to your missions. You can put an objective marker right on top of this, and it's going to be very cool. And um, yeah, I think it's coming up great. I like that the terrain that we're making right now, um, it's meant to be generic terrain, but I feel like in some way it has a personality. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I feel like it's generic but with a twist, and I really appreciate that. Okay, I think with this we're gone through all the previews. Yeah. Okay. Before we go to the next thing, I see that there are a bunch of people have joined us over the last hour. So for those that don't know, I'm not going to go all the way back. So if you check on YouTube, there is a pinned link. If you click on that link and you put your email address, you're going to get some free minis. You know, at the end of the stream. So make sure to join and click. It's basically like a thank you for joining us live. Yeah, click the link. All right, let's move on to the concept art previews. All right, first off, for the vampires. For the vampires, what are you gonna get? So this is now the preview of the stuff that's going to come out in April. So for the vampires, you're going to get first off the skeleton commander on Abyssal Beast. So somebody said what link? I think it should be pinned on YouTube. Let me just double check to make sure. Hmm, to make sure that it is. Yes, if you look at the very top on YouTube, there should be a pinned form. It's in blue. Mm, okay, sorry. All right, so Scouted Commander and Abyssal Beast. This is basically I guess in a way, it's kind of like the equivalent of the Winged Terror for the Vampire Lord, but for the Skeleton Champion slash Skeleton Commander. But it's actually bigger, so it's like a big, weird skeletal beast. It looks like it's a sort of dragon that is now made of bones. So in a way, you have to understand like all the dragons in the except for the bat dragon because it's its own category. All of the dragon stuff is kind of related in the vampiric undead. So you have the winged terror, the abyssal beast, and then you have the zombie dragon, and then you have the dragon, which we're going to talk about at the end of the stream. But basically, yeah, they're all kind of related, and essentially, yeah, this is a dragon, but not. It's a dragon, but it's a skeleton dragon, but it's not a skeleton dragon. Whatever. It's an abyssal beast. It's gonna be a cool model. I already saw a bit of it, and it looks funky. It looks fun, and it's gonna be awesome. Um, all right. Then you're going to get, as a mainline unit, you're going to get the Skeleton Watch. So the Skeleton Watch, actually, this is a new unit for the vampires. Like, well, I mean, new, we introduced it when we started releasing the vampires, but this was not in the vampire list before. Actually, the vampires used to have 0 ranged units. So when we added the Drained Archers and the Skeleton Watch, that was very new for everyone, I suppose. Anyway, the Skeleton Watch is basically like the elite crossbowmen of the army. So, hey, do you need some ranged firepower, but you don't want to rely on the inaccuracy of the drained archers? Well, we introduced to you the Skeleton Watch. They come with crossbows. They look very cool. I have to say, I saw them today and it looked very very cool. You have 5 basic poses. You have a command group. Yeah, overall a fun unit. It's solid. If you want to do a purely skeletal army for the vampiric undead and you don't want to have to rely on the drained, you can. So you're going to get. You have the skeleton guard. You're going to get the skeleton watch, and then of course later you're going to get the skeleton knights. And yeah, honestly, if you then just take like the skeleton champion and the skeleton commander, like you don't have to use anything but skeletons in the army if you wanted to. It's almost like the mummified undead. Anyway, all right. So then you're gonna get the skeleton watch. Then you're also going to get the bat horrors. Ooh, the bat horrors are really cool. So the bat horrors are like, um, essentially they are vampires that turn into bats. But you know, you're not gonna turn into a tiny little squishy bat. You're gonna turn into a badass bat, and so they turn into these bat horrors. It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like a mix between. It's kind of like the concept of a werewolf, but for bats and vampires. Well, whatever. It's a vampire that's turned into a bat. Very cool. It's a unit of 3, so they're pretty big. I think they're like 50 millimeters tall. They come with these big like winged arms, and they're filled with like details. So like they have all of these little trinkets and stuff around their belt to kind of like show you that, hey, like this is actually a guy that transformed into this thing. Yes, somebody said into a Batman. So yes, this is your Batman. If you wanted Batman in the game, here it is. Then you're also going to get, man, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, you're also going to get, yes, this is a Deathly Chariot. So the Deathly Chariot is basically the chariot for the Skeleton Commander. This is a slightly outdated piece of art because back a long time ago, the original idea was that the skeleton commander was not a skeleton commander. There was another like a living guy that was supposed to look almost like a little baron or king, whatever. The guy in the art is the guy sitting on the throne in the back is wrong. It should be a skeleton commander. But yes, anyway, it's a chariot, very deadly, filled with blades in the front and on the sides, carried by skeleton horses. It has a skeleton crew. It has a guy with a lance. Looks very very cool. And then of course at the top in the back it has the skeleton commander. Yeah, we changed it so actually he's not sitting like this on a throne because, like I said, the concept changed. But you're gonna see it. It's very cool. And yes, Deathly Chariot. And then the final thing you're going to get is the Bat Dragon. Yes. So the Bat Dragon, the first dragon we're releasing for the faction, I suppose. Yes. So Bat Dragon, it's essentially like the ultimate evolution of all the bat, all of the bat stuff. You know, from the tiny bats, from bat swarms to the bat, to the giant bats, to the ghouls and bat horrors, and you know whatever, all that stuff. Here we have the Bat Dragon. So a badass dragon, you can have it with a rider or without a rider. So it can be ridden by a ghoul champion. And then it actually comes with some fun options. It comes with the standard Bat Dragon head, which looks really badass. But if you look in the top right, it also comes with these like Falcon style eye patches eye cover. And it looks really funny, honestly, in the final result. And I think it's hilarious. So if you like funny models, you can make this model go from badass to funny. And then, like I said, you can also have it without the rider. You don't have to put the rider on it. If you don't have the rider, like the saddle is like spiked and it looks different. And yeah, cool. All right, now we are done with the vampire concepts. Yes, let's move on to high elf fleet concepts. So for the high elf fleets, what are you gonna get? So you're going to get the noble. I think that's the name of this guy. The noble is let's say if the if the elite protector is like your standard high elf hero, the noble is your standard high elf hero of like the nobility class. Basically, like it's the difference between your stat line being, I think it's 4 up, 5 up, to being 3 up, 4 up, something like that. Whatever. This guy comes like a big axe. It's not an axe. Well, yeah, it's kind of like a axe halberd thing. Comes with this cool helmet that has like these like feathers and stuff like that. Comes with a badass pose. I'm not sure if it comes with a buddy. Might come with a buddy, might not. But yes, anyway. Cool new hero for your elf army. The elves, by the way, are probably the army that has the most heroes that we've ever made. Uh, I think there's like 10 or 12 heroes in the army. It's kind of crazy. All right. Then you're also going to get the High Oracle. So this is your psychic for the army. So the High Oracle comes with a cool staff, an Oracle staff. If you've seen the staff of the Apprentice, you can kind of get the vibe of more or less how it's going to look. I mean, or just look at the concept art. And the High Oracle also comes like this cool mask that essentially has like a single eye in the center, and kind of like to represent the symbol of the faction, or the symbols of the faction, and maybe also like the one eye of the Oracle, whatever. Very cool model. This is going to be your psychic, and then you're going to get the acolyte. So I explained how like the top guy in the psychic rank is the Oracle, and the bottommost is the apprentice. Well, in the middle you have the acolytes. So the acolytes are those that are psychically gifted. They're apprentices that pass some tests. They're more advanced, but they're not yet at the state of the Oracle. And so they're basically like a fighty psychic unit. So the acolytes come with, I think, 3 poses. They come with shard pistols. They come with energy swords, and they come also with energy spears. Honestly, a very very cool looking unit. It's. I don't think the concept art makes it justice here because you're not seeing the poses. Because then it has like this flowy hair. Um. Anyway, a cool unit of acolytes. Then we have the strikers. So in the um, in the February release, sorry, in the March release, you're getting the protectors. The protectors are your baseline ranged infantry unit. And the strikers, which you're going to get in April, are your baseline melee infantry unit. So as you can see, there's a difference. Yeah, maybe I should explain this. There is a difference between how how melee units and ranged units are dressed. Usually ranged units have like these capes on, or they have like these sort of like big skirts that they have on, to kind of like signify that they're more noble, they can go slower, they're shooty and all that stuff. Whereas all the melee stuff does not have those things, so that their legs are free to move faster, to jump around, to leap over cover and stuff like that, and get into the enemy's face. So yeah, so here's the strikers. Yeah, your standard melee unit. And on the right, you can see that they get their own type of platform. So instead of getting a support platform with a gun, they get this sort of support platform that has this protective sphere, and essentially it can give them like stealth. Yeah, cool unit. Then what else do you get? You gotta get the artillery. So for the artillery, well, I guess for the artillery, imagine take the support turret from the protectors and now make it big, essentially. So that's the artillery. It comes with a bunch of different guns that the turret doesn't get, and it also comes with a crew. I think you get 3 different crew members. They're apprentices, so they come with cool different poses. They're doing different things. I think one of them has like a little binocular. I think there's a buddy as well. And yeah, so if you're looking for some extra ranged firepower, especially like indirect firepower, For your high elves, you can get it in the artillery. Oh, and here you can really see the thing I was describing before of like the orb. So if you look below the turret, you can see that there is the glowing orb, which is the elemental energy, psychic orb that they use to kind of like fuel this vehicle and then like guide it and all of that stuff. Not a robot. Okay, and I think that must be it. Is there more? Yes. Okay. Cool. So that was the High Elf fleets. Then you're also going to get the legendary for April, which is going to be the Epic Soul Demon of Plague. Very much following the vein of the other Epic Soul Demons. It's basically like take the Soul Demon, give it new weapons, give it new armor. It has a new head. It has a cool new pose. It comes with a cool base. And yeah, I think it's gonna be very cool. It comes with lots of like little buddies and mushrooms and all that type of stuff. I think it's just gonna be a fun model overall. I really like the pose. It looks like he's kind of like laughing or screaming or I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's cartoony in the best way possible. All right. Uh, that's the legendary. What else do we got? Oh, yes. So in April, I think. Let me check. Sorry. In April. Yes, in April you're going to get new loyalty rewards. So, um, let's take a look at them. So, the first loyalty reward you're going to get is the skeleton dragon. So, yes, I was talking a lot about dragons. So, the skeleton dragon is basically um take dragon, make bigger, make skeleton. It's basically like a huge, badass dragon. It comes with a rider. It's going to have like this sort of like, you know, it has a vampire lord rider, but we wanted it to be a creepier one. And well, you can see down there with like the various head options that it's like a sort of more creepy, spooky, wizardy sort of vampire lord. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's gonna be a huge dragon, really. As always, like loyalty rewards are built to be more compared to like legendaries, which usually come with like which always come with a terrain piece because they're meant to be used in game, yes, but they're also really meant as display pieces, and painting pieces and stuff like that. This is a loyalty reward, so this guy's gonna be like on the floor, big wings, a cool rider, male, female rider, of course. And yeah, I think this one's gonna be very, very cool, and it's gonna be huge. So if you wanted a big dragon, get the big dragon. And then you're also going to get the Titan element, the Elemental Titan. So, okay, this is a concept that's part of the High Elf fleets, which we haven't shown so far. And well, let me talk about it. So, like I said, the High Elf fleets don't rely on robots anymore, but they still rely on different, constructs. We've seen the artillery pieces, we've seen the support turrets and stuff like that. And another thing that the oracles are able to, like, if you get a bunch of high oracles together and the most gifted of psychics, and what they manage to do is they essentially are able to create and put together these constructs, these elemental constructs, which are basically animated and they can work independently and think independently and fight independently. And you're going to get lots of these. So the smallest ones are the basic elementals. So there's elemental protectors and elemental strikers. You're also going to get bigger versions like the great elemental. That would basically be sort of like a walker equivalent. And then another one that you get, and then of course you're going to get the legendary, which is the elemental avatar, which, my god, the concept art, mwah, incredible. But anyway, for the loyalty reward, you're going to get the elemental titan. So yeah, think of a titan, but now it's elemental. So the idea is that it's gonna be this sort of like, it's made of energy, it's made of fire, it's made of psychic substance, it's made of like stones. It's gonna be very, very cool. At the center of it, of course, um, you have the orb. So this orb of power, again, like I was talking about, it's very central to the higher fleets. And yeah, I think it's gonna look absolutely badass. I don't think this piece of concept art can even make it justice, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it turns out in the end. All right, I think that is it for now. Yes, cool. So now we are going to move on to the Q&A portion of the stream. All right, I'm going to go through the questions that people asked me before the stream and answer those. There's not a ton, there's only 10 of them, but I was scrolling through it. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to filter through these questions before the stream. A lot of these questions are huge. So I'm going to try and speed run through them. If you have any other questions, um, um, put them in the chat. I will try to get to them. I'm gonna try and speed run through these questions now. And yeah, let's I'll check the chat in a minute. All right, question number one, which is enormous. Hello, I have heard that you are not a big fan of introducing a fifth Havoc god of spite and anti-Havoc. That is not true. Mostly because you feel like a certain other company has dips on that idea. That is not true at all. Uh, uh, I feel like you're worried about copying. Okay, somebody's basically asking about having a fifth Havoc God and that we're not doing it because of reasons. Uh, None of this is true. I don't know where you heard this. Here, I am the voice of truth. That's not true at all. We have always thought about and had plans for potentially additional Havoc gods. We are not at all worried about anyone. Like everything that we do at OPR is as original as it gets. So we're not worried at all about copyright for coming up with new Havoc gods. So I'm. This is not an announcement, by the way. I'm not saying that we're doing a new Havoc god anytime soon. There are no plans for that for at least 10 years. But anyway, just yeah, the the idea that we are not fans of introducing it or that we're worried about copyright, it's not true at all. So um, yeah, it is what it is. For the 15mm models, are they going to be released in line with what's already been released, or are they going to be different cadence faction than what's already been created? They are going to be 10mm and 15mm versions of existing lines. So we're basically taking our lines of models and we are scaling them down. We're changing the details. We're making sure that they're printable at the scale, and yeah. So it's lines that already exist. Could you give us some insight on the design intent behind the warning cry rule? Oh my god, this is a huge question again. Does the 12 inches average deployment it can just be still charged? So you're meant to deploy over 12 inches away because you're not meant to be able to charge. Warning cry is basically meant to be like, hey, you have your hero, you give it a little buddy, and then the buddy basically warns the hero if somebody's trying to ambush nearby. So basically, create a little bubble that makes it harder for units to ambush the hero. That's the intent of the rule. I love the design of the models. Thank you. Are there currently any plans for the Wood Elves? There are plans for all factions. All factions are going to be made, including the Wood Elves, and they'll be made when they're ready. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see somebody posted like 11 separate rules question. I'm sorry, this here is not a place for me to answer these type of questions. Please refer back to the Discord, post your questions there, and then you're going to get your answers. But yeah, I'm not gonna be here sitting answering 12 questions. I'm sorry, or 11 questions or whatnot. Yeah, send a message on Discord. Make a thread or whatnot, and then we will look into it, and I will answer by text so that then you can also like link to it back and stuff like that. But yeah, sorry, I'm not gonna go through all of these questions right now. All right. How do you usually split your work time between rules, miniatures, and lore? Uh, it's a bit all over the place. I'm gonna say usually what I try to do is I try to spend my mornings working on creative stuff. So I try to not log into Discord. I say try. I try not to log into Discord or check my emails because it's a mess. So usually I try to spend my mornings working on rules or working on ideas for stories or working on ideas for minis or researching stuff, or whatever I want to do. And then usually in the afternoon it's been like, so maybe like I'll work on that in the morning. Then after lunch I will try to basically quickly catch up on, like, okay, catch up on emails, catch up on Discord messages, answer people that I need to. And then the end of the day, like the last 3-4 hours of the day, I basically spend on calls where we work on miniatures, where we work on lore, where we work on concept art. And basically I'm just art directing all of the various teams and what they're working on. Did Secrets of the Shop pass its break-even point? I.e., is it profitable? Yes, it is profitable. And I mean, right now, okay, let me check the numbers right now. Right now, Secrets of Tsha has, let me check, has made over $90,000. So I mean, of course, there's fees on top of that and all that stuff. But yes, this has definitely been profitable. By the way, 2 hours left, so back now. But yes, this is definitely profitable now. As you can imagine, it does not take us $90,000 to produce, the campaign and the heroes. Why did the faction spotlight not include anything about the army's rules? It would be interesting to see how army concept and aesthetics are connected with its special rules, playstyle, etc. I don't. I'm. There's not a specific reason why it did not include anything about the army's rules. I think I'm not sure. I'll bring this up with the team. I'm not the one that's writing all of these articles, as you can imagine. There are so many things happening at OPR. I'm not able to be the one that writes the articles anymore. But yeah, I'll bring it up with the team. It would be cool, and I'm sure that there is articles planned that are talking more about like rules and playing, and how to build an army and all that sort of stuff. So don't worry, there will be articles about army rules. But yeah, I'll bring this up with the team. High fleets currently have strikers, snipers, shifters, scorchers, and stingers. Any plans to see this issue? Indistinguishable name confused players. I'm not sure that I can agree. I think there's a difference between striking, sniping, shifting, scorching, and stinging. So no, I don't, I don't really have any plans to change the names. Okay, somebody else asked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different rules questions. Again, this is not the channel to ask questions. Please take all your rules question, post them on Discord, make a thread for them, and I will answer them there. This is not the place to ask and get those answers. OPA, what are you most excited about to be released for OPR later this year? I am very excited about the world books. Honestly, okay. Okay. I'm excited about the world books because first off, because we've been working on them for like 2 years. And so I just want to get them out there. But also, I'm really excited because it will finally show the breadth and width and depth, whatever, of the universes I created to everyone, which is cool. And lots of art and all that stuff. But lately, we have been working on the first faction book. So imagine the world book, but for a specific faction. And I'm gonna be honest, I am very excited about the faction book. As cool as the world book is, I think the faction book is even cooler. Like this is gonna be cool. So I think right now the thing I'm most excited about is the faction book. And I mean, also some of the other things are coming. There's lots of things to be excited about. Let's say faction book for now. I face a lot of resistance in my area on even trying OPR games. Do you have any advice on how to get very entrenched people to try to branch out? I feel like we get this question a lot. Honestly, look, if people are really adamant about sticking to whatever they're playing, I don't think you should be trying to convince them or force them or whatever to do otherwise. I think the best thing you can do is find some people that want to play the game with you. Maybe find them online, go to your game store, play together, have fun, and then as other people see you having fun. As you know, when other people who are playing similar games and are playing one match in an entire evening see you play two, three matches in the same time and have fun, and essentially, do the same things faster, simpler, in a more enjoyable way, that might pique their interest, and then that's how you usually convert players, right? Like they need to find out about it by themselves. They need to be curious about it by themselves. I also think that this is just a problem. How can I put it? I mean, first of it, not only OPR faces this problem, right? Any other miniatures game faces this problem as well, and card games as well, and all that stuff. But I think also in part it's just a matter of time as well. Like as OPR keeps becoming bigger, as we get a bigger audience, as more people post about it on YouTube, as people make more videos, as people post about it on Instagram, on Facebook, as people talk about it on Reddit, on Reddit. It's going to start making more people curious, and I hope that in the future you'll not have to try and convince people um to try OPR, but instead that they will see and be like, "Oh, I've heard about OPR. I see you're playing it. You know, how about you give me a demo? How about we try it out together?" I understand it's really hard at the beginning though. So, um yeah, I hope this advice can help. Are there release plans for updated or new Warfleet ship? Are there plans? Yes and no. So yes, we have wishes to do them, but right now we are so overwhelmed with the incredible amount of other work that we're doing. And Warfleets is a niche product. That is also the truth, and so it's not a priority for us right now. We have a good idea right now of like essentially what we want to do. We even have somebody that could sculpt the models for us. So probably Warfleets it's not going to be made 100% in house, but we're going to have a trusted partner to make it. The biggest issue that we have right now really is like finding the time to go ahead and make the concepts. Because once we are able to start making the concepts and start making them like regularly, yeah, sure. Then making the models is actually not that big of an issue. It's really the making of the concept that's been holding us back. You have to understand that right now we are working on a ton of concepts. Like, just the high elf fleets alone, we're like 35 plus concepts, plus units, and you have to understand like the way that we do concepts is really thorough. Like we have a whole like exploration phase, and then we have an asseting phase, and symbology phase, anatomy phase, weapon phase. Then we have a whole pre-production phase for every single unit in the army, and then after that we have a production phase for every single unit in the army. Like it's a huge job, to make sure that we have something that's really cool. And so yeah, think about that, and like the amount of work that went into doing the high elf fleets, and then also like right now we're concepting the shadow stalkers. We announced that the next fantasy army is going to be shadow stalkers. We're also doing all the concepts for the next sci-fi army. I can't reveal what it is yet. We're also working on concepts for an additional project which is still to be revealed. um, Lots and lots of stuff, and unfortunately amidst all these things Warfleets kind of falls in the back. And so yeah, I have plans and wishes and hopes, but I don't have anything concrete to give you yet. Sorry. Okay, cool. So that was all the questions from there. Let me scroll up here and start answering whatever questions people posted in the chat. All right, cool. Let me try and go quickly. Any hints at when we can see Battle Brothers again? No, we have no idea. So I don't want to lie and pretend that I know. We don't have any idea. We don't have any plans for them yet. I would imagine that it might take another couple of years. Not sure. Will there be different high elf fleet elementals, or would they be stepping on the human empire soul? I mean, the elementals of the high elf fleets are very, very different than the elemental concept of the human empire. So just in that sense, like they're not related because the human empire elements are represented by animals, whereas here the elementals are literal like golem like constructs. So, but no, there are not different high fleet elementals. They're essentially like bigger and bigger versions of each other themselves. Whatever. Um, will the high elf heroes have a set of upgrades to match into the different squads they support? Or is that why that faction will have so many hero mods? So almost every single unit in the faction has its own hero, its own noble. So you're gonna have noble stingers, you're gonna have noble shifters, you're gonna have noble striker. No, maybe not striker noble. You're gonna have the noble revenants. You're gonna have the noble um, scorcher. You know, you're gonna have a lot of different nobles. So you you're not gonna get one guy that you can just clamp wings onto it. It's gonna be its own model with its own pose, looking epic. Will we see Techie again? Gonna say yes. Any other thickening planned? Not for now. Are you guys getting enough sleep? We try. Will the new book have new missions? I'm not sure. Are you talking about the Grimdark Future World Book? If the question is about the World Book, then no. The World Book does not have any missions. Once you have patched up to 3.9, would you release 4th edition, or is 3.9 the goal for a stable game? The point 9, it's just a number, right? So if we reach 3.9 and we're not ready for a 4th edition, it would be 3.10, 3.11, 3.12. I think V2, so 2nd edition, finished at 2.16, for example. So, that would be like 4 years of updates, something like that. So no, the number, the addition, the number, the incremental number has nothing to do with the addition. Will elves have similar feature to the dwarves where they have non-helmeted heads? Yes. All the elves come with and without helmets, and male and female version. Is there anywhere I can order the sculpted bases or army player aids to be printed? Not for now. I wonder if we're gonna get Clan Wars models at some point. At some point. I'm not sure when, but at some point, yes. Could you do the generic terrain not so square rectangular, or is there a special reason for it being shaped that way? We try to make so the terrain is shaped this way for multiple reasons. Number one, because we want to give you the most bang for your buck in terms of like your print plate. So we want you to be like, hey, like I'm gonna print one nice big chunk of area terrain, and so we want to kind of like fill that area. But two, because like in a game sense, whatever, it's so much easier to define. Like we want the terrain to be made in such a way. Essentially, all of our new terrains are made into like these sort of like box templates of like sizes and dimensions and whatever. And so that then if you're playing a game, you can really define like, hey, like this is exactly the dimension of the terrain. So even if it's slightly curves or slightly like this or whatever, you can define it and be like, okay, this is this blocking terrain, this terrain blocks line of sight, and it's 4 inches by 3 inches by 3 inches, and then okay, this is it. And if there is a small weird gap there, you'd say doesn't matter, this is a solid block. So it's basically like also to help game reasons. And yeah, are the Havoc gods the same entities in both settings? Wouldn't you like to know? Is there a schedule of when OPR is planning on adding missing units or models to already existing factions? There are plans to add a couple of missing units. It's just a matter of when. So I think we are at this point. The only thing we are really missing is there's a bunch of like weapon upgrades and stuff like that are missing from the robot legions. So we're going to be working on those and releasing those. We actually already started working on those, but then had to halt that project because we had a lot of other work coming. And it's not a priority, let's be honest. Just like buddies, we're going to add buddies to all the factions, but it's not a priority. And I know that everybody's asking about the Saurian Deinonychus riders. We have concepted them, but I don't know. I have no idea when we're going to make them and when we're going to release them. But yes, eventually you're going to get those as well. As for other units, I'm not sure. So like imagine if now, we decide to put a new unit for, I don't know, dwarf guilds. Again, it's about, can we fit it in our schedule? If we can fit it in our schedule, sure. You also have to understand that like just from like a purely like financial slash business slash whatever standpoint, um, it is better for us and also for you truly that we focus our effort to make like one big set of armies that's then released consecutively, because it's the most efficient way to get you the most amount of models, and for us to get like an efficient return on the investment, so that we can then of course support and keep growing the team, and keep releasing new stuff for you. And doing like scattered like little units here and there, it's actually quite inefficient. um, so yeah. When you said all factions, huh? Question: when you said all factions, would that include an undead pirates or regular pirates or both? I'm assuming you're asking if. Okay, I said we're planning to release all factions as miniatures eventually. Maybe that's what you're asking. Anyway, we currently do not have official rules for undead pirates or regular pirates or anything like that. So there are no plans for that. I would love to eventually make something like that, sure. But don't forget there's like 50 factions across both games, or across both universes. So it's gonna be a while before we start adding more factions. But who knows? Beetle Nids for the win, for those that know. If you become a patron the last day of the month, do you then still get the files from that month? Yes. As long as you are within, as long as you are there by midnight GMT on the last day of the month, you get the files for the month. Uh, is the Secret of the Tixal campaign style of releasing models profitable enough to have full faction releases funded by a campaign? I think yes. So the plan is that eventually we are going to, like, my dream is, okay, how can I put this? All right, right now we're releasing factions on Patreon every month, right? And we release a ton of models. And even despite releasing a ton of models, each faction takes about 6 months. Let's say on average 6 months to release. That means that any given year we can release two fantasy factions and two sci-fi factions. And whilst that is great and awesome and all that, we have 50 factions across two games. And I'm not even counting all the gangs and all the clans and all of that stuff, right? And I'm not counting other games, okay. So if we continue at this pace, it's gonna take us like 10 years to even just finish the content that we have today. So imagine in 10 years, we would still be just releasing the content from today. Ideally, we want to improve that. So our plan is to keep improving our team, improving our methods, growing our team, and using additional resources from projects like Secrets of Tixal to up our ante, have a bigger team that allows us to um, start making more models, so that imagine we could release 4 armies on Patreon every year and then 2 additional armies outside of Patreon via a crowdfunding. And I think that would be a great way to do it, especially for armies that maybe are not as popular as others, for armies that are not as big, or maybe even the opposite, like armies that are kind of like weird. So like I can imagine that releasing something like Titan Lords or the Giant Tribes would be better, or the Goblins would be better to release those via crowdfunding campaign rather than put them on Patreon. And also like smaller factions that maybe are not as popular, like Jesters, right, or Inquisition. It's like, um, you know, uh, Patreon in many ways is the flagship of our business. And do we really want to take the risk of, spending a bunch of months releasing a small faction that not as many people are interested in, and potentially start losing audience and start losing revenue, when we could just make those fans happy by releasing the faction outside of Patreon? And as always, we will still release it at a great discount. It's going to be a great deal, as you've seen with Patreon, as you've seen with Tixal, as you can see with our store prices, as you can see with everything we do. I mean, we just made paper minis free we'll always make sure that we give you the best deal possible. So yeah, long story short, yes, you can expect that at some point in the future we will be releasing some factions outside of Patreon or outside of the regular Patreon release cycle. Um, Any plans for more frequent updates on My Mini Factory with fixes? Do you have any plan for updating fixed minis? There are still packages on My Mini Factory that are years old and still are not updated. Not sure exactly. I'm not sure exactly what you are referring to. But yes, we update models on My Mini Factory as they get fixed. Honestly, send an email to info@onepagerules.com. It seems like I'm not sure exactly. I'm sorry, I don't recognize your name. I'm not sure exactly who you are and which conversations you're referring to because you just said, sorry, you put a second part of the question, which is Atlas fixed them. You personally wrote on some comments that you take a look into it. There are still no updates, and you keep talking about this. It seems like there is some sort of history there that I'm not aware of. Please send an email to like info@onepagerules.com, and then the team can reach back to you. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. When are small scales coming? At least where are they in the queue? My original wish was that small scale was coming mid 2024. Realistically speaking, I think we're looking more at end of 2024. Pessimistically speaking, it might have to be early 2025. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a mess. Honestly, like, please understand the following. Like, for as frustrating as it is for you, it's even more frustrating for us because we have been working on this project for literal years. We have been investing a ton of time into it, a ton of money into it, and we don't even know if this is going to be successful. So, we are doing our best to make it happen. And we really hope that once it happens, it's actually successful, because else I'm going to feel mighty stupid. But yeah, until now, I don't have anything to tell you. From which language does the word Tixal come from? It comes from the Saurian language. Will Secrets of Tixal be later available on Wargame Vault? Yes. Is army refluffing still planned? Army refluffing is planned, but I have so many things on my plate that I have no idea when it's going to happen. Again, yeah, I don't know. I can tell you for sure it's not happening by 3.3. And also how we are going to release it, I'm not sure. Like, I'm a little bit worried. I'm gonna be honest. Like, when we released third edition in September, we got a big boost in players. OPR really grew even more over the last 6 months. And I'm so used to this idea of like, oh, OPR gets constantly updated, right? Like, since the beginning of the project, OPR got updated. There was a time where OPR, the core rules were updated on a daily, or on a weekly, or and so on and so forth. And now, like, I noticed something where when we released 3.2 in January, we actually saw comments from people saying like, "Oh, like, I don't like this trend. I don't like that the game is being updated so frequently. I don't like that the changes are so big. I feel like you're being like some other companies and you're just chasing a meta, or like, and it honestly, it kind of took me back because I was like, oh, like, I thought that me updating the games every quarter and making sure that the games are balanced and fun and fresh and all that stuff is a good thing. But I see that, like, especially as the audience keeps growing, it might not be that linear. It might not be as linear as update always equals positive. And army refluffing is a big update, right? Like, army refluffing essentially means going through all 50 factions and changing them a lot. And even if there are many people that might be happy about it, I can imagine that there will be just as many people that are unhappy about it, right? Because I feel like it's the type of thing where people get used to what they have, and whatever change they get I mean, unless it's like suddenly your army's overpowered. I have never seen somebody complain about, oh, my army has become overpowered. But anyway, whatever change you make, it will always be disruptive, right? Like people got used to playing the army a certain way. They've been playing it like that for 6 months or for a year or for 2 years. And they have their set of models, they have their army set up and all that stuff. And now suddenly here I come and I'm like, hey, army refluffing, your army works completely differently now. It's kind of jarring for people. So yeah, I'm also not sure how exactly army refluffing is going to come out. I would expect, if anything, end of the year. Ugh, not sure. Sorry. Any plans for Army Forge to get the option to translate text? Not for now. Is there a plan for when Clan Wars model will be available? Absolutely no idea. We're talking many, many years from now. What is your favorite faction from Grimdark Future Age of Fantasy? Um, it switches a lot. I feel like, hmm, I always like Saurians and Ratman for fantasy. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm a bit of like an OPR fanboy in that like I really like whatever the newest, like right now I'm like, oh my god, I love high elf fleets and dwarf guilds. You know, maybe it's because their models are new. I think Eternal Dynasty is still probably one of my favorite factions we ever made. Um, I guess I like them all. It's like making me choose my babies. Why did you choose the Shadow Stalkers as the next faction for Age of Fantasy instead of Orcs or something else? Um, Many reasons. Part of it was production reasons. It's Shadow Stalkers are a smaller army to produce, so in that sense, it can help us. Like our big goal at OPR is to continue growing our backlog so that we can have more breathing room. Like I hate the fact that to this day we are still at the point where we are working on models in February that are to be released in March, right? Like I want to have a 3 month backlog, I want to have a 6 month backlog, and so on and so forth. And so, from a production standpoint, doing Shadow Stalkers was a good deal in terms of like it's a smaller army to make, which is good. It's an army that relies on a lot of organic materials, which is easier and faster to sculpt for people, for sculptors, which also means it's better from a production standpoint. We had a concept artist that was free to work on this faction, and we were like, okay, great. Like he had already started working on the faction. It was like, okay, like he can very quickly finish the concept art. So it was very much a production decision. Also, there's a new project coming because, of course, there's a new project coming. We're always doing new stuff. There's a new project coming that is going to be released alongside the Shadow Stalkers, and we thought that Shadow Stalkers are the perfect faction to fit this project. So there was that reason, and also, so yeah, I was kind of trying to mention this before, and also another thing is like I really noticed that, okay, when you look at Grimdark Future has a lot of armies that feel very OPR, right? Like Eternal Dynasty, that's an OPR army. Jackals, that's an OPR army. Yeah, you can say like this army can be used as a proxy for something else, but it feels like our own army. I'm not saying that the other factions don't feel like that. Sure, high elf fleets feel like our army, but we all know that there are other high elf fleet armies out there, right? And that feel like high elf fleets in a certain way. Dwarf guilds, I feel it's pretty much our army though as well. But okay, so basically in Grimdark we have a lot of armies which feel ours, which honestly it's just very cool. I like the idea that like in art, in battle reports, in whatever we do in miniatures, we get to have something that helps us shape and form and whatever our identity more than just having, let's say, standard armies. In fantasy, we don't really have that. Our mummified undead, there's lots of other mummified undead out there. Saurians as well, even though our Saurians look relatively unique. There's lots of other Saurians out there. Beastmen, I'm gonna say it's the most unique army we have right now that feels like, oh, this is an OPR army. And if I look at other armies like Human Empire, I look at Vampiric Undead, even at all of our demons, like, yes, they do feel like they're our armies, but not in the same way that some of those grimdark armies feel. And so I want us to focus a little bit more, at least over the next couple of years, a little bit more of having at least one, two more armies in Age of Fantasy that feel like, oh, this is an OPR thing, right? Like, I want someone to be like, hey, like, I want someone to put Beastmen and Shadow Stalkers on the table, and somebody to look at that and say like, okay, this is a completely unique game. This is their own thing that they're doing. Um, and so yeah, that was one of the decision, one of the reasons why we made that decision as well. Um, any plans to rename units to match my Miami Factory packages names and Army Forge names? It's a mess. I'm not really sure. Again, send an email to info@onepagerules.com and tell us exactly what you're referring to, because usually all of the units in Army Forge, all of the units on my mini factory are named or have at least part of the name that they have on Army Forge. So like stitched zombies are called zombies. The protectors are gonna be called the protectors. The dwarf miners are gonna be the dwarf miners. In Army Forge it's the dwarf thunder support, I think, but in my mini factory it's the dwarf support. So like the names are there. So I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. Again, please send us an email and we will look into it. Any plans for FDM printing friendly variants? No, we are not focusing on FDM. Are the old campaigns, such as Jacob's Path, still canon? Yes, but eventually we are going to have to. Well, eventually we are going to give those campaigns the Tsha treatment. So we're going to take Jacob's Path, we're going to take Darkness Within. We're probably going to have to rewrite them a little bit to fit the current canon more. And then we're going to make the heroes as models, and then you're going to have armies and all that stuff. I don't want to spoil too much, but I actually think that Jacob's Path will not be Battle Brothers versus Orcs anymore. It will be another faction versus Orcs. Yes. But anyway, it's still to be seen. But yes, the old campaigns are still canon. Gift of Change will be buffed to be in line with the new stealth. No. Gift of Change, it's meant to be 18 inches. It's meant to be basically double stealth. Any plans for different starter sets, STLs to be released? We release new starter sets every 6 months. So we just released a new starter set in January. So yeah, I expect the next starter set to be like in June. Oh my god, there are so many questions. I'm gonna try and be faster, but I need to wrap this up. This has been going on for almost 2 hours. For Age of Fantasy Quest, have you guys considered adding the ability to generate dungeons with cards? No plans for that right now. Any plans to add sculpted bases and army player aids to sell only games? No, I'm pretty sure I already answered this question. No. And just to quickly to elaborate. Those bases and game aids, just because of like how thick they are really heavy to print, which means they're gonna be very expensive, and we don't think it's fair to you that we have bases on there that are overly expensive. Like, if you can go and find very similar bases out there for a fifth of the price, I'm not gonna be here trying to sell you. If you can buy a base for 10 cents, I'm not going to be here selling you a base for $1. I don't think that's fair. Great work on the short stories. Any plans on working with a long script writer for PDF purchase in the future? I'm not sure I understand what this means. A long PDF writer for PDF purchase. Are you asking if we're doing like I'm gonna make like novels or books? If so, then yes, our plan is that eventually we're gonna start releasing novels and books. It's something we're very very interested in doing, and well, we also have to see like how it's then received, and it would be very cool. But you know, It's gonna take time. Are you planning to create a faction of occultists or necromancers that are not skeletons? Not right now. How many armies have you currently already planned? I don't know what you mean with currently already planned. We have all armies planned. If you want to know how many armies we have concepted, or like how far ahead we're planning, so right now we have plans up until April 2025 that are pretty solid. Like if everything, unless something goes off, the plans that we have until April 2025 are definitely going to happen like this. But yeah, we actually have already like blocked out more or less the plan for armies for the next 10 years, really. Are you considering to make? Oh, sorry. Will refluff be more like regiments? An alternate variation of the rules? No. Refluff basically means like taking a look at the armies, um, and making sure that they're more thematic and more interesting to play, and that they feel more different from each other. One of the many complaints that we get at OPR is that like all of the armies can kind of feel the same. They feel like um, you're just playing the same army with a different skin. I don't agree, but I can understand where it comes from, and so refluffing aims to address that. Are you considering to make narrative campaigns for skirmish or firefight in the future? Yes. My favorite armies are Mummified Undead, Saurians, and Rebel Legions. They are very fleshed out. Do you ever get sad when there isn't a lot to add to older factions? Um, Honestly, right now it's a bit of a relief because we have so much work. I would hate to have to go and keep adding new stuff, but yeah, who knows? It seems iOS will stop supporting web apps. Are there plans for a native iOS app? Please ask Adam. I do not know. For those of us who are new to OPR, what are the Shadow Stalkers? So the Shadow Stalkers are a faction of humanoid monsters. Let's say monsters, humanoid creatures, and monsters and beasts that come from a different plane, referred to as the maze. Essentially, what happened is when the ogres. So I don't know how far back we want to go with the lore for this explanation, but basically, like the ogre kingdoms, basically were formed on. Actually, they're more like ogre sultanates, but like let's say the ogre sultanates were formed upon basically a very strong attunement to magic, and especially magic wormhole generation not wormhole, sorry, void gate generation magic. And so basically the reasons why all the ogres have big bellies is because they don't walk a lot, they just keep using void gates to go from one place to the other. And basically at some point, when opening void gates, they essentially open a void gate to this maze realm, which basically leaked the Shadow Stalkers into their land. So the Shadow Stalkers completely swept over the land of the ogres. The ogres were forced to abandon their lands and become essentially nomads. Um, and the Shadow Stalkers now essentially reside in the ruins of the ogres. In their quest to basically their quest for survival, it's a bit complicated. The Shadow Stalkers basically have closed off the gates to the maze, and now they're kind of like stuck in Tyria. So yeah, they are trying to find their way in this new world that is very foreign and weird to them. And we're gonna reveal more about. I mean, you can already read up on it in Army Forge, but you're gonna find out more about what they're all about as we reveal the concept art and all that stuff. Thanks for a lot for answering the detailed insights. So, Kingdom of Angels are next for IOF? No, they are not. Shadow Stalkers are next. Okay, cool. I think I finally made it to the end of the thing. We are about 30 minutes over my target for these calls, but whatever. It's fun. All right, everyone. If you haven't yet, go put your email address in the link that's tagged on Discord. On Discord, sorry. On on the YouTube chat. Make sure to put your email there so you're gonna get some free minis. I can okay now that we're at the end, I can show you. These are the free minis you get. Yeah, make sure to do that. We're going to close that soon, so do it ASAP. And then you're gonna get some cool minis. I'm going to plan the next yeah the next damn the next stream. It's tough because we're going to Adepticon. let me double check Let me double check my schedule and see where I can jot it in. Mm. So I should be back from Adepticon. Okay, on like the 24th of March. Okay, so I should probably be able to do it on the 28th of March. So I'm going to write it down right now. Actually, hold on. Before I give you the wrong date. So, yeah. Okay, 28th of March, I can have the next stream. We will post a link with where you can put the questions and so on and so forth in post. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and yeah, I'll see you next time.